Corridors overflowing with thousands of customers. It's every retailer's dream. The revamped, reinvented and much bigger Charlestown Square is clearly impressing shoppers.
We've been up here since 7:15.
Better than Katara.
It's heaps upper class now. It's good.
A little bit more stylish.
Yeah.
The whole centre's carefully designed and landscaped. Stone finishes on the floors and walls are supposed to conjure images of a fancy shopping street, and little details bring the outdoors indoors. Attention to detail is everywhere.
One of the unique opportunities that this development has given us is going from 45,000 square metres to 89,000 square metres. We can theme some of the precincts. This precinct is all about edgy youth fashion.
There's a 1,000-seat food court, roving entertainers, and several new chains never before seen in the region.
Very busy. We opened this morning at 9:30. We have bubbles, we had some balloons and we had cupcakes. We've been non-stop.
As well as 110 new stores, the centre's also home to Reading Cinemas and the Hunter's very first Gold Lounge Theatre, which is just perfect for those who enjoy a little bit of extra luxury. Thank you.
All that's left to finish now is the South Piazza, and that should be complete next month. Madeline Bond, NBN News.
The navigation in it is very precarious at night time, and further intrusions by this proposed marina will make the bay virtually just a landlocked area for the yachts.
Sheldon Robinson's life has been anything but easy. He's battled bone cancer since he was just 12.
Because he was in treatment all the time during those years. He missed out on partying, he missed out on socialising.
And only last year lost his father to cancer. Now the 20-year-old is fighting his own battle with osteosarcoma. But the keen fisherman has one final wish: to catch a barramundi in Darwin. On Sunday, his family and local community will hold a charity event to help him do just that.
We've all been brought up to fight until the end, and Sheldon's got that spirit in him as well. Like he said, you just keep on going because you never know, a miracle can happen any time.
It actually puts your faith back in society to see that people are so kind-hearted and nice.
And while Sheldon is certainly one of a kind, he's got some advice for any other youngsters battling an illness.
And just to stay strong and be close with your family, because family, friend support's the most important thing you can have.
The event will be held at Hotel Beatty at East Gresford in the Hunter Valley from 2 p.m. Sunday. For more information on how to donate, head to NBN's website. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News. While the state's no longer in drought,
what I'm seeing from farmers is a lot of smiling faces now, which is fantastic.
Try telling that to these irrigators who are outraged at plans to cut water usage from the Murray-Darling Basin. Scone agriculturalist Peter Bishop says a plan designed in the 90s could give farmers exactly what they need.
So if you want to make it flow, you've got to get some of the water from the rivers that run into the sea and put it into the Murray-Darling.
One source could be the Clarence River in northern New South Wales. Each year, it expels 5,000 gigalitres of water, the equivalent of 10 Sydney harbours, into the Pacific Ocean. By damming the Man River, a tributary of the Clarence, and diverting part of the flow into the Darling River, it would give the basin 1,000 of the 3,000 litres of water the Murray-Darling plan requires. But some MPs are wary of the idea, which has been raised numerous times before. Federal member for Page, Janelle Saffin, says the community is fiercely protective of the Clarence, and while it may be possible to dam the river, environmentally it would be a disaster. But Mr Bishop says the plan is achievable and is needed to keep our farmers on the land.
Once you push people like that out of their jobs, they won't come back, and they're almost impossible to replace. So you're really inviting someone else in some other country to supply us with the food that we grow ourselves at the moment.
Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
The W League Jets failed to win a game last season after losing some high-profile players. This time around, the club says it's better prepared, and today it unveiled its secret weapons. Nicole Cross and Alison Lipscher have played the game at the highest level in the US and Europe, and now they're bringing their talent to Newcastle.
I played in Sweden for a little bit and then back in the States in the meantime last year. I went to school in North Carolina in the States, and then after that lived in California for a year when there wasn't a WPS, and then once that started I was lucky enough to get in with Boston, and I've been there for 2 years.
Both girls are confident they'll adapt to the hot Australian conditions, but aside from football, the girls are most looking forward to honing their skills on a surfboard.
4.5 months, 5 months is a long time to be training on your own and doing things like that, and I grew up in an area that's wintertime, and it's snowing out, you train indoors and it's not that fun, so to come down here is perfect for me.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News.
We're taking the whole school as well. That's the other beauty of being a small school. And so the supporting crew have got their streamers made up and everything, so it's going to be a really, really great atmosphere down there.
He spent his life helping others in the surf and on the sand, and this Sunday a group of elite athletes will test themselves physically and mentally in the first annual Goldie Mackerras Ironman Classic.
We lost him last year, unfortunately, which was a bit of a shock and very sad, and his family and a few of us from Redhead Surf Club have come together to put on this event.
Starting at Warners Bay with an 11k ski leg, competitors will change to the board at Pelican, then work their way out of Lake Macquarie through Swansea Channel and around to Blacksmiths Beach. They'll then swim 1.2 kilometres before running the 9k's to Redhead.
Done it twice before in training, and one time it took me just over the 2-hour mark, so hopefully I'll be up near the lead pack with that time.
Redhead's Isaac Morgan will be part of the impressive field, which will include former Olympian Peter Scott and current state champion Ali Day. Morgan has won multiple gold medals at a state level, but having turned 17 today, he's now hoping to embark on a professional career.
Ironman racing, it's probably my long-term goal, make the Nutrigrain series, make a living out of it hopefully.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News.
In the past 12 months, at least 5 Anglican priests have been investigated for alleged misconduct, and Bishop Brian Farron says he expects that number to grow.
Once there has been publicity attached to a particular case, invariably there are other matters that come forward as a consequence.
During this weekend's synod, Bishop Farron will address the sexual abuse allegations currently under investigation, as well as the shifting culture within the Anglican Church.
I will be addressing it in terms of trying to show how significant professional standards is for the Church and how we're moving our culture from what I'm calling an amateur culture to a professional culture.
Other issues to be tabled include the environment, homelessness and the processing of asylum seekers, particularly Afghans.
If they were to go back, they'd fall into the hands of the Taliban, and we know how gruesome the Taliban is. And so we really need to welcome them and help them to move into and be integrated into our society.
More than 300 representatives from the Hunter, Central Coast and the Manning will attend the synod, which begins later tonight. Lauren Bladwell, NBN News.
Right now, it's good news as far as Hunter jobs are concerned.
Unemployment's come right off to about 4.2%, but the fascinating part about that is that we've had about 28,000 more people over the past 12 months join the labour market looking for work, so to keep a low unemployment rate in that context is quite an exceptional performance really.
Our labour force now stands at 332,000, up 9.2%. High employment helped boost consumer confidence in the September quarter, but now we're being warned it could lead to a series of interest rate rises.
I think the Reserve is more likely than not to increase rates before Christmas. Technically, we've got them going next week.
The recent hold on interest rates has helped keep the Hunters housing market strong, with the annual price growth up 14% and the number of approvals up 58%. That's something the Newcastle Permanent, for one, has capitalised on. The financier today released its annual results, recording an after-tax profit of $53.8 million.
We were able to approve $1.33 billion in home loans, which was actually a 36% increase, and that resulted in us growing our home loan book by more than $550 million.
Madeline Bond, NBN News.
Based out of this ageing demountable for more than 20 years, dementia service staff and clients are looking forward to moving day.
It is really exciting after, if you could only just see the demountable and what we've operated out of since 1988.
The $1.6 million facility includes a training room as well as 3 activity rooms, which will help the service cater for clients suffering different stages of the disease. Perhaps more importantly, there's now enough space to accommodate the growing number of dementia patients in Lake Macquarie.
In this day and age, it seems to be people are living a lot longer. The carer is getting older, needs a lot more support.
The new centre will enable the service to provide the Hunter's first overnight respite for dementia patients. It'll cater for up to 4 clients, but at the moment, there's no funding.
Initially, we'll be set up as quiet rooms or as rest rooms for the clients, but if we get the funding for overnight respite, that's where the clients will actually sleep.
Lauren Bladwell, NBN News.
It's been more than a decade since Newcastle was awarded a major shipbuilding project. Now a team of 20 from Hunter company Forjax has put together designs for a $400 million contract to construct 8 Cape-class patrol boats for customs and border protection.
We've been more into maintenance and repair work. We feel we're ready now to be a major builder of small to medium vessels.
The company submitted its tender this afternoon and should know before Christmas whether it's in the running. A decision on the winning bid is expected in April. If successful, it will take 12 months to prepare for construction, creating 260 jobs and 200 subcontractor roles.
Probably 12 months after that, the first vessel will come off the line. We then have a 6-month wait, and then over the next 3 years, we have to pump out the other 7 vessels.
The New South Wales government is now also on board, with the Minister for the Hunter set to lead a delegation to lobby Canberra.
This is a customs bid, but there is also significant work there in terms of naval. Now, obviously, we would like to see the Navy establish an East Coast base. Newcastle is certainly where I would like to see it established.
Forjax is already part of the development of Australia's newest air warfare destroyers. That project is proving so successful, the company needs 100 extra staff.
Boilermakers, welders, fitters, painters, blasters, riggers, scaffolders, so the full gambit of metal trades people, and we're willing to train people as well.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News.
The stages are being set for one seriously fat festival. In less than 24 hours, 15,000 people are expected to cram into Camp Shortland on the Newcastle foreshore.
Everything seems on track. We're just going through, final staging and logistics and all of those things. A few more things to build, but yeah, looking really good.
Music acts, including headliners Wolfmother and Ice Cube, will perform across 3 stages. Police today conducted a sweep of the sold-out event site ahead of tomorrow's full-scale operation involving 170 officers.
We'll have drug detection dogs here. We'll be checking people as they come in. We'll be sweeping in around the venue, and anyone caught with drugs will be prosecuted.
Police issued that same warning last year, but made 30 arrests after concert goers still tried to smuggle in illicit substances. Officers will also crack down on underage drinking, with teens being put on notice.
If they're under 18 and they're in here and they've got alcohol or they are intoxicated, they'll be ejected.
And while it's still early days, Camp Shortland could become the festival's permanent home.
It is on in our plans to stay here. Obviously, dependent on how this event goes and discussions with council and police.
Madeline Bond, NBN News.
A light run after a long flight. Francis Jeff has enjoyed a warm welcome to Newcastle nonetheless. The 29-year-old English Premier League star is now keen to shine on Australian shores after things dulled back home.
I'm coming out here, in decent shape. I'm not coming out here at the end of my career. I'm coming out here to make an impression and to give it a right go.
Having debuted for Everton, aged just 16, Jeff has marked his one and only national appearance with a goal against Australia, and that's just what Newcastle is after. But not before he's put through his paces early next week.
We're, going to invest a lot of money into this exercise, and we want to make sure it's the right one.
But he's almost a certainty, given captain Michael Bridges is sidelined and now Kiwi attacker Jeremy Brockie is too, care of a cracked bone in his foot.
From what the doctor said, it's the second worst bone to have a problem with.
Still waiting for a full diagnosis, Brockie knows the November 27 match against David Beckham's LA Galaxy remains a long shot.
David Beckham was my idol growing up, and I used to have posters all over my wall of him, so that's the game hopefully I'll be back by.
With goal scoring a real issue at the club, Kalina enlisted former NSL star Marshall Soper to help provide tips on that front today. But the best solution may have just got off a plane from England.
I've scored goals at places I've been at, so if I do get the opportunities, I'm sure I'll score goals here.
Jim Callanan, NBN News.
If you still want to guarantee yourself a ticket, the best way to do that is to buy one of our family memberships. A game between the W League Jets, the women, and Sydney FC women. So what a great way for the girls to have a game in front of 24,000 people as well.
They rolled in early in their thousands. The weird and the wacky, along with the downright excited, they were all met by a strong police presence up high and on the ground. The message not getting through to some revellers, their day ending a little sooner than expected. Early on though, police were impressed.
We're fairly well satisfied with behaviour at this stage.
For those who did make it through, it was music aplenty on the 3 stages. The warm weather was a little too much for some. Others took a short pit stop to recharge. But the music kept on going and they kept on dancing.
Yes, awesome time. We're having a great time.
But while these festival goers may tire towards the end of the night, police are expecting thousands to party on.
We do have a large footprint that will be dropping over the city during the night.
And no doubt into the morning. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
That's where we hold the big giant auction with heaps of boys' toys and all sorts of things, girls as well, of course.
He was holding out hope of a quick recovery, but bone scans confirmed the worst, with Jeremy Brockie now ruled out between 6 to 8 weeks.
Every time I get fit and start to find a bit of form, I get injured again, so hopefully my luck will change sooner rather than later.
He may yet require a pin to be inserted to assist the healing, but any match-up with hero David Beckham is over.
I've been lucky to play against some pretty good players, but one I've always missed out on is David Beckham.
The Jets' W League side, though, is all smiles with confirmation they'll be playing Sydney FC in the curtain raiser to Beckham's LA Galaxy match against Newcastle on November 27.
I'm actually quite nervous now to begin with, but it's definitely the biggest occasion that we'll be playing, and for women's football in Newcastle it's phenomenal.
It's going to be fabulous. I mean, I was fortunate enough to be at Wellington, assistant coach when they came out and played there, and the whole town just shut down for one man. It was quite phenomenal and he was superb.
Divers going deep to save Halifax Point.
To get out, get rid of this, and that's a good start.
They're doing it out of desperation, really.
This sand is covering one of our treasures, a dive site rated in Australia's top 10. For the first time, we can go under and show you what it looked like 12 months ago and what it looks like now.
It's happened very quickly. Great Lakes Council is pumping sand onto Jimmy's Beach, which miraculously is disappearing.
Problematic sand blocking barriers at the Little Beach boat ramp added to the quick transformation. It might be hard to believe, but 4 months ago this was actually a stairwell and this is where the water started. Yet it's going to take council at least 3 weeks to get a DA to get some machinery in here to remove this sand.
I think it's completely ridiculous. They should be in there now with machinery.
The reality says by the time they sort it all out, there won't be much left to save.
These sweeping currents have brought another unwelcome guest. Divers have spent the past week killing thousands of what they call coral's worst nightmare.
The urchins are actually eating it. So if we don't do it, don't cull the urchins, we won't have a dive site left.
It obviously is going to impact on our business. It's going to impact on the people that come here. It's going to impact on tourism in Port Stephens.
Nat Wallace, NBN News.
What were they thinking? In conditions that would make any Ironman rust, a competitive field still lined up for the race named in memory of a mate. With the team's event already underway, the individuals got cracking. Starting from Warners Bay and Lake Macquarie, they all must have wished they were wind-powered. Instead, they powered into a stiff southerly for the 11-kilometre ski paddle to Pelican. By then, it was a race between two, with former Australian champion Peter Scott leading the way, but it was rising star of the surf, Alistair Day, who was really in the box seat. Having sat alongside the veteran, he then set about burning off Scott and gapping the rest of the field on the board leg. A tough ask all the same, given it was 4.5 clicks out the Swansea Channel before rounding the breakwall into Blacksmith's Beach. From there, it was a 1 kilometre swim north, but by then there was already daylight from the best to the rest. Day leaving others to battle for the minor placings in the 8k run to Redhead. In a tick over 2 hours and 31 minutes, and in weather getting worse by the second, the inaugural classic winner crossed the line.
I think it's one of the best events. You know, it's so suited to all the guys who are doing the gold and doing the Kellogg's Nutrigrain series, and the guys that ran it today, it ran so smoothly, so it's just a pity about the weather, isn't it?
Boyd Conrick was the first local home crossing fourth, and in memory of Peter McKerris, the classic's namesake.
He's probably up there laughing in the fact that he's put on those weather conditions today, and it was just really tough.
They've been wrangling for 18 months over new collective agreements. Today, academic and support staff picked up placards with a clear message for their bosses.
Been very good at awarding themselves bonuses and large salary increases, but when it comes to recognising staff, they seem not to be very interested.
Supported by the Students' Association, staff marched to the Chancellery. By fair, they mean an increase of up to 20% over 4 years. The executive has offered 16%. The National Tertiary Education Union says that's well below the average for the sector and doesn't reflect staff productivity increases over recent years.
The number of students just increases and increases, but the proportional number of staff who deal directly with students has in fact probably decreased.
Students are supporting the push.
And quality education can only be provided when the staff are paid well. Also, many students are employed by the university as casual employees.
Staff hope to seal a deal with management soon. If not, they'll consider industrial action.
It's a last resort. but we are more than willing to take it if we need to.
Privatisation becomes much more palatable these days, and I think people, when they see someone like Nathan Tinkler, if it happens to be him, they see he is a local boy, he is passionate about the region, he is passionate about sport.
It all started in Thredbo 3 years ago, a festival showcasing some of the biggest country music acts from around the world. But it quickly outgrew that location and was forced to find a new home.
So we looked around for another iconic location in New South Wales, and the hunter just screamed out, "Pick me, pick me."
Hope Estate has scored the March gig, dubbed CMC Rocks the Hunter, which is expected to attract more than 17,000 people. Most will be there to see country music's man of the moment, American Alan Jackson. He sold 50,000 tickets for his 2011 Australian tour in under an hour.
You don't sell 50 plus million records without having some sort of track record, 34 number ones in the US.
The festival will also give local acts a chance to shine on the big stage, including Merriweather's Mark Wells.
It's a really huge festival in terms of just the amount of people that'll come to this thing. So, to play to, 17,000 people or something or more, there's going to be an amazing exposure.
The Hunter will also get its time in the spotlight, with the event to be broadcast on pay TV in Australia and beamed into up to 60 million homes in the US.
We're reaching an audience that we wouldn't have been able to reach by any other means.
Tickets go on sale on November 3. Kate Mitchell, NBN News.
Follow the orange brick road and you never know what you'll find. This 70-year-old bushland fort is now officially on the map.
This heritage listing ensures that the site will be maintained in the future.
Hopefully there'll be some signage so that people know that it's there and can take a step back in history and see what the fort was like.
In 1940, Australia bunkered down, and Port Stephens was seen as the perfect place for enemy forces to land. 2 large guns were put there just in case.
Well, it was part of the defence mechanism to protect Newcastle in the Second World War, and the worry there was the BHP.
But the Japanese, of course, headed straight to Newcastle, and our forces there let rip. While the role of Fort Scratchley has been celebrated, recognition has long eluded Tomaree Head. This place might have survived a war, but as you can see, it's gradually deteriorating. This heritage listing couldn't have come soon enough.
I think it's long overdue, and it would be welcomed by all people in the Port Stephens area.
I mean, if it's Australian heritage, it's worth keeping.
It should be preserved, so it's gorgeous.
Nat Wallace, NBN News.
A lot has happened since Ben Kenorowski last played for the Jets. That was the same day Nathan Tinkler took on the A-League club.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's been looking forward to coming back ever since I went away.
After a month away with the young Socceroos, he returned to news he never thought possible.
I could say it's a dream come true to play against David Beckham, even play alongside him. It was a dream, but just to play against him would be unbelievable.
There's been a high-profile addition to the Jet squad as well in Francis Jeffers. The former English international began his trial for a guest stint in earnest today, with Branko Kalina to make his call by the end of the week. There were some old faces at training as well today. Local legend Ray Bartz was watching on, while fellow ex-Socceroo David Lowe has been named the club's head scout. Marshall Soper is now the specialist skills coach, with Clint Gosling confirmed as full-time goalkeeping mentor.
I'm a great believer that you should surround yourself with some quality people, and they all put their hand up. They all want to be part of this new Newcastle, which is fantastic.
There's an issue with their home ground, however. Ground staff will be working extra shifts in order to repair sections of the playing surface at Energy Australia Stadium, which was damaged in the recent Super X event.
I just hope it's in good nick, good order, because I think, playing at home, you want a good pitch so you can play good football.
Even before Nathan Tinkler took on the Newcastle Jets, he was heavily linked to a possible buyout of the Knights, and speculation has only increased.
Now at this stage we don't have anything formal from Nathan, so if that does come along, if and when, and if it was the right model, then we'd certainly take it to our membership.
Stressing there is no agenda from the board to rush such a move, the club's CEO admits that Tinkler has confirmed he's ready if and when they are.
Certainly told me and Robbie Chew, for that matter, on several occasions, if we were ever going to think of going down that line, he'd simply have a look at it and have a chat with us. So maybe we'll get around a table and have a chat over the next coming weeks and see if it is worth taking further.
It certainly would make sense in terms of business to house both clubs under the one roof, given the range of administration and facility sharing the two clubs could enjoy. Whatever the future holds, Knights members will have the final say, but it seems some are already warming to the idea.
Privatisation is not the dirty word it was 5 years ago. I don't think it would ever have been entertained 5 years ago in Newcastle.
Put in some big time numbers and tell you give this guy. Oh!
John Tate is leading an unofficial band of independents. The Lord Mayor is contesting the seat of Newcastle in the March state election, a seat he came very close to winning last time around. And he's confirmed a number of independent candidates have talked about joining forces in the race to polling day.
it makes sense to be able to talk to like-minded people, and that's what this will amount to.
Those like-minded people include Lake Macquarie councillor Barry Johnston, who's contesting the seat of Charlestown, as well as an unnamed former union delegate in Cessnock. They've sought advice from the state's most high-profile independent and Speaker of the House, Richard Torbay, about forming a loose alliance.
And I really believe that if we're going to get some progress in Newcastle and the Hunter, to have like-minded independents elected in adjoining seats makes a lot of sense.
There is speculation independents could win up to 10 New South Wales seats, but Premier Christina Keneally says the independent push is not a reflection on her government, instead using the issue to take a pot shot at the opposition.
What I see here is a failure from the opposition as the supposed alternative government to put forward a coherent, detailed set of plans to the people of New South Wales.
Kate Mitchell, NBN News.
It's taken 2 years, but the Newcastle Lake Macquarie Western Corridor planning strategy has finally been given the green light. The document acts as a blueprint for the development of the 20-kilometre stretch of land between Beresfield and Killingworth.
It's an area that has been identified for housing, employment and for conservation.
Under the strategy, large sections of land at Black Hill and Killingworth are earmarked as industrial sites, while areas at Minmai, West Wallsend and Killingworth and either side of the Newcastle Link Road at Edgeworth and Wallsend have been slated for residential development, the creation of 8,000 new homes. The Department of Planning says developing the land is important for lower hunter growth.
I think that its location close to the F3 and with good access to transport networks means that it does have a lot of potential.
Much of the area is bushland owned by Coal and Allied, Xstrata and the Hunter Development Corporation. The strategy's creation means rezoning the land should become much easier, and according to the department, it will help meet the hunters' housing and employment targets to 2031.
And I think it's quite a positive thing for the region. I think we're a prosperous region and we have a lot of good values, and I think that this is going to help us achieve that growth.
Yes, well, it was built quite some time ago and it's outlived its usefulness, and the main problems in the Buller area, such as the smelter and some of the heavy industry, have now gone, they've closed.
The sale of Biomet Lodge and the adjoining land isn't expected to be finalised until the new year, but it's already creating waves. It's understood the buyer wants to demolish the Union Street Motel and build a large block of units in its place, with the proposal recently outlined to residents.
They let it drop the suburb and last month had about an hour presentation of what they had planned.
The buyer doesn't want to comment publicly on the proposal until the development application is lodged with council next week, but it's understood the complex could be up to 4 storeys high, with 107 units and a 113-room boarding house. That's all too big, according to residents.
We'd be happy with something that fitted in with the surrounding character of the suburb, which is generally 2-storey townhouse-style complexes.
Another big sticking point is traffic, which will enter and exit via Corlett Street instead of Union.
Corlett Street already has traffic issues and safety issues with the school drop-offs at the neighbouring grammar, primary and preschool.
The school echoes residents' concerns. Headmaster Alan Green wouldn't speak on camera today, but says any extra traffic on the already busy street would be a worry. Lauren Bladwell, NBN News.
We're about 5.5% of the issued capital, which is disappointing because they're shares that have been unverified. Somebody owns those shares, but we haven't been able to track them down.
One of nature's greatest untapped energy sources, soon to be harvested in a new way by the CSIRO.
What you can see behind me is the first of 450 heliostats that have been installed in our new solar research facility here at Mayfield.
This is a big day. It's a large milestone in the advancement of solar technology in this country.
Row by row, this area will be transformed into a solar farm. Tracking the sun, the mirrored panels will use its rays to create temperatures of up to 1,000 degrees Celsius.
We then use that to superheat air, which we put through a turbine to generate electricity. Same principle that's used for a jet engine.
In turn, creating a cleaner, greener and cheaper energy source. And unlike other solar technologies, it doesn't require water to function.
When we start looking at our mining sector, where a lot of those sites, particularly in Western Australia, are in very remote regions, excellent solar resources but no water and very high energy requirements.
We're currently in discussion with the CSIRO on further rollout.
The 450 solar panels are expected to be installed by Christmas. A 30-metre tower similar to this to harness the energy will be built within 2 weeks.
I think it's just another tick in the box for the Hunter as a leading researcher in the renewable energy space.
Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
Try as they might, there was little hiding the state of the surface at Energy Australia Stadium.
I had a look at the pitch and yeah, it's no good. It's no secret. Let's not hide the fact that it's no good.
Football Federation of Australia agreed, calling off tomorrow night's game against North Queensland to a date yet to be fixed, given they couldn't guarantee player safety on loose sections of the pitch.
We've had to replace a few sections of grass, which wasn't expected.
It follows the recent Super X event held at the stadium, which left the Newcastle Knights, as stadium managers, unable to repair the surface in time.
It's one of those things you hope doesn't happen, but yes, they did do a little bit of surface damage.
Making matters worse, Sunday's match against the Heart is also in grave doubt. That was meant to be the club's community day, after making 10,000 free tickets available, with the possibility it could be moved to Melbourne on Friday night. Either way, it's left fans in the lurch and a football team facing a whole new range of issues.
In November, we've got about 5 games, plus the David Beckham game, so that's already got a heavy schedule. And if games in the meantime are rescheduled, when do you fit them in?
Jim Callanan, NBN News. Mr. Business. Jamie Pittman believes he's in the best shape of his career, and a change in scenery has helped that. Now training with the Grange Old School boxing squad in Campbelltown, he says it's made a big difference.
You know, it's not only the best in the country, it's the best in the world. You know, we've got Danny Gill, Shannon Taylor, Rob Medley, Rene Ganoy. So, you know, we all start training at the same time, we all spar each other, we all finish at the same time, we all do the same thing.
The determined southpaw continues to juggle full-time work with a rigorous schedule, having never lost sight of his ultimate goal.
Of course, I train twice a day, 6 days a week, and I'm lucky I've got good people around me that support me and back me, and it's hard, but you only live once, and I don't want any regrets, and I really, really want a world title. I'll do whatever I can to get that world title.
It starts on Sunday with Petman wary of his first opponent since a shock loss in April.
Tomoa Latoa, he's a very tough boy. He's fought Michael Bolling, he's fought Tim Bell, and he's gave them very hard fights and very close fights. He's only lost twice.
Another fight is already in the works for early January against an undefeated Englishman, but right now Petman remains focused on the business at hand.